morning, Muscatine. Depending on when you're watching this, my next couple of statements may be super important or not important at all, or you may be like, yeah, we already know that. So right now it's 9:06. I'm looking outside. It looks horrible. The sirens did just go off in case you didn't hear it. You won't hear all clears, remember, so make sure that you're watching, news, checking the Weather Channel, checking weatherchannel.com, National Weather Service, wherever you want. Make sure you're watching it. Make sure you're taking shelter like you're supposed to, because remember, there is no all clear. You're on your own to decide when it's safe to come back out of the holes, okay? So if you're watching it this afternoon, you're already going to know what happened and whether everybody turned out safe or not. So if you have any sort of way to send back information to us now at the 9:07-8 time, push it back through the timeline to us and we'll see what happens. This morning I have a guest with me who touches just about everything fun at the high school. I think, Mike, would that be fair to say?
There's a lot of fun things at the high school. I get involved with a lot of them, yeah.
I was going to say, because I can't think of one off the top of my head that doesn't cross your world. I mean, so Mike's, for those of you that don't know, he's the activities director. So that covers athletics, it covers band and all that stuff, all the clubs.
Yep, all the clubs, activities,
flow up through you.
Orchestra, show choir.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's, I mean, it seems like other than that, it's basically like testing, right?
Basically everything outside the normal school day.
Yeah.
Involved in, even sometimes in the school day. So
yeah. So again, it's either the greatest job in the world, or today it's probably a little bit of a crazy job, I would imagine.
It's going to be interesting today.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm not real hopeful.
Before the show, Mike's sitting back there with his phone, going, "Oh boy, oh boy," like basically. I mean, I'm not quoting him word for word. He didn't say "oh boy," but that was the look on his face, though.
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you get weather like this, but it's spring in Iowa. We're used to it.
And it's not your first rodeo. I think you know how to handle it. We'll find ways to make it up or slide it in somewhere.
There's a lot of cancellations and reschedules going on right now.
So that's the great thing. Muskie Mania is here for the spring, right? So I have to say, before we go too far, the first time you've ever done this out there, there was a media day last week that he got all the teams together in one spot for pictures, to talk to the press. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, we were testing it out this spring, and we thought if it worked well, we would move it over to the rest of our seasons too. But it's an opportunity where we get all the kids in their uniforms, get all their pictures, all their posters taken care of, senior banners, and then we invite folks like you, which we appreciate all your support for what we do up at the high school, and so you can come out and talk to the kids and get an idea of what's coming up for the season, as opposed to doing 7 different
oh my goodness
days.
Yeah, because and trying to coordinate it all, like for us, was always just honestly a nightmare. Like, and you being able to, it's what you do, right? So you obviously do it better than we do. And I mean, it was cool because we got to go, like the girls soccer team, we got them to go out on the field, play around a little bit. We got some cool shots. Like I was able to like lay on the ground and the girls like did a huddle around me. So we got just a bunch of neat stuff that we wouldn't have normally had the opportunity to get. So we'll see what we can do with all that stuff. So spring, what all's on the agenda for the spring?
Kind of feel like what's not. We have 7 different sports going on. We have boys and girls tennis, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls track, and then girls golf. Going on there, and then this is on the activity side. There's a lot going on. I know we got an orchestra concert in a couple weeks. The spring musical will be here. I think it's the 20th, 21st, 22nd of April.
That sounds about right.
Having that as well. Show choirs wrapped up their season. They're on the back end there. Prom's at the end of the month. Prom is on the 29th.
Prom and Cape. And they'll be here. They're on the show at some point to talk about that. So
we got all those activities, and then you roll into May, and we have all the postseason for the spring sports, and May 1, baseball and softball have their first official day of practice.
And then, a couple weeks into May, there's a little thing like graduation, which luckily, I don't think you have to worry about too much, but it's also right in the middle of all your stuff.
Graduate. I'm glad I don't have to coordinate that one.
Yeah,
they do a great job. But yeah, it's working around all the other activities we got going on.
It's fun. Like the one thing I say I love about my job is I get to go watch what you do. Like what you guys all do, I just get to go watch the end results of it. Like I get to go watch the games, I get to go watch the kids, I get to hang out with them. And I would imagine for you, hanging out with the kids as you're doing it's part of the cool part. But
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of front end things going on. But example, our track meet last night, once we got it going and everybody was in and everybody reported in, it was nice to sit back and just watch the kids compete.
You just get to, it's like, they always say like the mold is set or the cast is set, it's all like crazy. And then while it's going on, you just get to like pause for half a beat, enjoy it, and then go into cleanup mode and what's next, right?
Yep. Pretty much. There's a few fires you put out along the way, but if we can avoid those, and it works pretty well.
Well, for what it's worth, I don't see many fires.
Well, good. That's the goal. Is
exactly.
That they kind of go under the radar, but all in all, we got a great crew up there, and everybody from Mindy down through all of our coaches do a great job, and so they make my life a lot easier.
Unlike me, right? Notice I never say it. I may think it, but I never say it. No. And what I love about it is everybody's trying to push it forward. You know what I mean? It's like the Hall of Fame inductions and the ceremony there, and just like, okay, we got this under control. What's the next thing that we can add to make MHS a more engaging, enjoyable, fun experience for not just the kids there now, but alumni, and and I think you guys play a really critical role in the community's relationship with the high school, and you guys do a great job.
Yeah, to that point, the community has been fantastic. In the short time I've been here, they've stepped up every time I've gone out and talked to somebody, and from Hy-Vee here to Midwest Power, Kent, Han. I'm missing people. Ed Morris. There's a number of them that we've gone out and asked for help on one project or another, and they've always stepped up for us. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we talk about here across almost everybody that's here. Muscatine is this really unique community with like a lot of needs and a lot of resources, and they always seem to find a way to get where they need to. If it really needs to happen, Muscatine's going to find a way. It may be a little bumpy and it may be a little odd here and there, but it always gets done. And I think that's awesome. And, kind of rolling over to that, what I love about how this stuff works is like highlighting the kids, right? And so what does spring soccer look like? What do you think we're going to see with the boys and girls? Lots of home games, lots of, like, how often can people come down and watch them? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
The state schedule says you can have 16 events for both, for the boys and then for the girls. Mm-hmm. We do our best to try and have about half of those at home. So each time we're going to have about 7 to 8 home events for the boys and the girls. As an example, I'm not too optimistic looking outside, but the girls are supposed to host Davenport Central tonight.
Yep.
On there, boys hosted Assumption last night. Girls went to Assumption last night.
Based on how Phil Schliesman looks right now after walking in, I'm gonna guess you're probably not playing soccer tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm being an optimist, but it's not coming there. So that's the beauty. The boys have almost all their games down at the complex, which is great facility to use. The girls, we're going to try 1 or 2 games at the high school.
That's
just
awesome.
To see how efficiently we can run it up there. Different surface, different environment, and see how the kids like playing up there.
Well, and that's actually something that would be really cool to take a quick moment to talk about is the new field at MHS. And it's been there a year?
I understand this football is the second football season.
Yeah, it was the second football season, so we're on year 2. And so what is that turf field like, and what's advantageous about it?
For soccer, specifically, if that's what we're talking about.
Just in general and soccer, whatever.
You know, it is. There's a lot of things you don't have to do with turf. We don't have to paint the lines. We don't have to mow it. We don't have to irrigate it. You know, it doesn't get the wear and tears where a regular field, if you're out there by the third or fourth game, everything's chewed up between the hashes and it's almost a mud pit at times. So the quality of the surface, it stays much, much better on there. So that is kind of nice for soccer. It's a different bounce, probably the biggest thing. The ball's going to skid a little more with a little bit of moisture on it. You know, the bounce is going to look a little different than coming off of grass. So your touch is going to be a little more sensitive, if you will. Yeah. On there. So both work, both are good, but again, you're going to have much more durability with the turf. Yeah, and that's, you know, that was a huge conversation when it went in a couple of years ago, and 3 years ago when they started talking about it and stuff. The other thing that I always found interesting was how much better it is for the band, right? Oh yeah. Like Jeff Hyde, I'll never forget the first conversation I had with him. I was like, "Oh yeah, we'd love it," and I'm like, "What you like?" Again, I'm the guy that can't clap in rhythm, right? So band's completely foreign to me. And he's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "We don't have to worry about like if it rains, we can still hold our competitions. We don't have to worry about like." However many hundreds of thousands of kids they bring in for those championships, on a Saturday after a football game, and you don't have to worry about everybody killing themselves. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're spot on. You spot it. Yeah, you don't have to worry about marching in a mud bowl. Yeah, I would have never thought about it. Yeah, you know what the surface is going to be like. So tennis, you obviously don't have to worry about that. What does tennis look like this year? Good numbers out, and then we'll get especially girls have over 20 girls out. I think boys are a little down this year. They're sitting around 10 on there. We're supposed to play tennis tonight too, home and away. Girls are at home, boys are at both of them playing Pleasant Valley. I had that conversation with their athletic director on the way over, and we're gonna try and be optimistic and see if it gets a little better. That's one. Once you clear it off, it's not horrible. Yeah, it's not like you have to wait for the grass or any of that other to settle. We just worry about student safety. Yeah. So but they both should be very competitive this year. I'm looking forward to get them. I was hoping tonight to get them see them play for the first time, but. We'll see how it goes. So let's see, who else? So we've got track and field. Yep, boys and girls track. They both had a couple meets. They both had a couple canceled already for them. The big girls, unfortunately, we had to cancel our only home one of the year. Yep. Wind chill had it at 38 degrees at the start of the first race. I thought probably not a thing. No, I don't think anybody was too disappointed in that. Yeah. Boys, the Dave Matthews on the 24th of April will be the next home one, and then this year we're in rotation. We are in rotation to host the conference boys meet. Oh, gotcha. Right. This year on May 4th. So they, again, both have good numbers out. They're both in the 30 to 40 range of athletes out there. Soccer, you mentioned soccer earlier. Soccer, we have over 60 boys out for soccer. Wow. Soccer, and I think we're sitting around 40 or 45 girls for soccer. So really good numbers. That's awesome. And that's soccer level. That's what you want to see kids doing. Like, it's all about participation. Terry Hoganson has this, I don't know if it's a mantra or what it is, but he just constantly preaches memorable moments, right? And that's what these all are. The district on this year is creating memorable moments, and we're trying to capture as many of those as we can. Yeah. And so we have over 200 kids out for a spring sport. That's of some kind on there. And golf is an example. I can't say enough about Geneva and working with us on our availability and letting us use the course for golf on there. But we got 10 girls that are competing this year in golf. So again, we were supposed to have our first meet today up in DeWitt. That one's already been moved around. That one's that's not a thing. Of course, will not be in good shape, so it's a challenge, but it's fun. So it's exciting to go out and watch them play. Hopefully we start to get some better weather, so it's a little more comfortable for you to come out and watch, but
yeah,
it'll be a good spring.
And we're going to work on, so, obviously we haven't been able to do spring sports in the past just because of how everything's fallen, but we're going to try and do some, and then we're also going to try and get out and at least get some footage and some stuff like that, so we can at least be sharing what the kids are doing and some stuff like that, so that people can see it if they're not able to get out and stuff like that. So I think that should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we appreciate it too.
Oh yeah, anytime. Anything else major? Okay, I mean, that's a lot.
I probably think of something as I'm driving away, but yeah, like I said, we're excited to get going on there, and it's going to be a fun month.
Yeah. Well, we'll maybe have you check in like 3/4 of the way through the season and see how much hair you have left.
Yeah, I could keep reminded how I'm losing it, but yeah.
Hey, it's not that bad. Like when it's gone, you don't even notice. It's not that bad. Well, Mike, thanks for stopping in as always. Good to see you. We'll be right back with Muscatine Power and Water, talking about, of all things, water.
Okay guys, we've been through a lot together. We all know sometimes it gets hard, but it's okay to not feel okay. You know what helps? A good book or going for a walk. Not now, Fred. But what really helps is to talk to someone. Because to take care of each other, you gotta take care of you. If you need to talk to someone, your doctor will listen. Unity Point Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
We just don't work out in a single plane of motion.
We've all been through a lot together, and along the way, you'll find out who really cares for you and who you can trust. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens in life, like those days when the amazing happens, or those days that are really, really hard. That's why you need someone like Unity Point Health. Because when it comes to your health, you gotta have someone you can trust. Unity Point Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
Hi, I'm TJ Deere, General.
We are back. It is still raining and pouring out there. So again, if you're seeing this in the afternoon and you know something we don't about what happens in the next, half hour, 45 minutes, send us a message back in time. It'd be great. I don't know how Holly does this, but she always seems to find the right people to be here on the right days. And so Holly sent us today the water department.
All right.
So, Brian, Ricky, if you guys could just introduce yourselves real quick and kind of a little bit of what you do out at MPW.
Sure. I'm Brian Butler. I'm the manager of the water department at MPW. I also take care of facilities and our vehicle fleet, but mainly my main job is to make sure that the water system is working properly. And
yes, I'm Ricky Teed. I'm the project engineer at Muskie Power and Water. I help out a lot with the water department, the planning of new projects, and I also help out with the power and the communications departments, a lot of the site plans. So I do a lot of that work and help with the budgeting and make sure the projects keep going year after year.
Awesome. Okay, so Holly also does a great job, and I don't know who all in the marketing department does it, but I know Holly's where we get it from, but she always has like great notes and stuff to prompt us on what to talk about. And today she sent us fun facts. And what we're going to do, I'm going to totally flip it up on these guys a little bit. They were thinking they were just going to get to like tell us the fun facts. I'm going to quiz them real quick. So how many billion gallons of water do you guys pump?
11.1 billion gallons last year.
Wrong. It says 11, not 11.1.
Ish.
I know.
Wait,
I
it's
told you the more exact number.
okay. All right. 11. That's nuts. Like,
Correct.
do you have any sort of visualization of how much that is? Like, and I know this is totally off the cuff. That's like, how much is 11 billion gallons? Is that like the size of like Michigan, maybe? I don't know. Somebody look that up. I'd be interested to see how much, like, if 11 billion was in like a tub, how big it would be. That's your homework for next time.
Okay, we'll get that figured out for next time. But what's not on there is we average like 23.5 million gallons a day. So that's on average what we pump.
Oh my goodness.
Through 26 wells. We have 26 active wells down on the island.
That's right. He's right on that one.
3 treatment plants.
Oh, that's not on here.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to talk about
Too
that.
much detail there.
So, next one. How many miles of water main are there?
Well, last I knew, about 158 miles. So when I talk to kids, I'm like, it's about the distance from here to Adventureland. The
Oh,
miles or the water main
See?
end to end, it's about from here to Adventureland.
you know what? Here's the best advice I'm now going to give every guest from here on out. That made total sense to me, and you said it's how you explain it to kids.
Right.
I'm just going to tell everybody, explain to me like I'm a kid, and we'll be
Throw in
set.
Adventureland, and
It's
they're all kids
yeah,
are listening.
we're there. Okay, so how many? Valves. How many valves are there? This doesn't seem like the right number. I'll tell you this. This doesn't seem like the right number to me.
Like too high or too low?
It seems way too low.
Like we should have more valves?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, valves are out in the street, and it's what we can use when we have a main break to isolate certain sections of the water main so we can do a
See, so
repair.
this is a specific kind of valve, I'm thinking.
Right, and they're underground, so they're a distribution valve,
Gotcha. So
which is really kind of
there's
a lot.
1,800 of these
Right,
things.
right.
And see, I'm thinking like just like valves everywhere you go in there.
But I mean, we also exercise those valves and we maintain them so that when we do have a main break, we can isolate like a city block and not like a whole downtown area.
Yeah. Which, and this is complete respect for you guys. It's not going to sound like it. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I always, those like games on your phone where it's like the water flow from like the top to the bottom. That's always what I picture you guys like with taking that and mixing in NASA, right? That's how I always picture it, right? Because it's on one hand, when you guys explain it, it seems so simple. Like right there, it's like, okay, we flip some valves and we move water around a city block to isolate it. On one hand, that sounds pretty simple, right?
Right.
But it's not.
But I mean, no, it's not. I mean, the guys, our crew out in the field, I mean, they do a great job of, they know the system like the back of their hand. So if we have a breakover on Park Avenue, they know what valves we need to close to isolate that and minimize the impact to our customers. And that's our whole goal, is to try and, so people are sitting at home and they turn their water on and it still comes on. Even though we're having issues, we try to maintain service.
Well, and it's the one thing that I love, and Powering the Future obviously doesn't totally hit you guys' world, but it's a concept that you guys have built into everything you do across all the utilities. Is its flexibility, redundancy. It's like whether it's power, water, internet. There's like 17 ways that you guys can do any one thing, and that's good.
Oh, for sure. I mean, reliability is one of our main drivers, and we try to balance costs with reliability because we want to keep our rates competitive and we want to keep our customers happy, but we also have to build reliability into that so that in the event we have a storm or we have a big main break, that we don't shut down service.
And for those of you watching on MPW channel 3 PCTV right now, sirens are going off again. I'm hearing sirens, aren't I? Yeah. So, and remember, there's no all clear anymore, so that's still like something's going on out there. So you guys also brought some pictures. So like looking at this first set of pictures here, we've got big holes in the ground. We've got, what is that, like 8 feet deep probably? What are we looking at there?
This would be a new hydrant installation. So every year we try to replace hydrants. We're trying to phase out the old hydrants so that we can have good hydrants that operate when the fire department needs them. And so
Crazy idea.
Yeah.
Like, there's that reliability thing coming up again.
yeah, and whenever there's a new development in town, one thing that we require is that the developer install a certain amount of hydrants every 300-400 feet, so that those new areas are protected as well.
So that's basically every football field.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that means you guys, or the fire department probably has hoses at least 150 feet long.
Exactly right.
Like,
And so they want to be able to get to any place in town, within 150
Yeah.
feet from two sides.
that's awesome. I never thought about it. And again, this is one of those things that I'm always fascinated about what you guys do, because when all of a sudden it clicks with me, like, okay, 150 feet, that's okay, 300, okay. Now it makes sense why you see fire hydrants where you do. And on one hand, again, that's simple. Okay, every 300 feet have a fire hydrant. Okay, that's simple, right? But then actually doing that is not, right? So, speaking of hydrants, there's going to be the fun flushing of the hydrants.
Right.
What does that look like this spring?
Well, starting next week, next Monday on the 10th is when we start flushing.
Okay.
The operation really begins down in the well field, so that shouldn't have a lot of impact on our customers, other than there may be some discoloration of the water, because we're trying to back flush as much water as we can through the wells and the well fields to get as much of the sediment or debris out in that location rather than throughout the water system. So we'll start in the well field, and then we work our way out systematically throughout the system. We start at the low side. Do you know what the low side is versus high side?
Well, I'm going to guess the bottom.
Well, so now we have two pressure zones in Muscatine, and it has nothing to do with high pressure and low pressure. It has to do with geography, like above the bluff and below the bluff, if that makes sense. So we have all the fire hydrants that are painted blue with like white caps. Those are low side hydrants. And all the hydrants that are white with blue caps are high side hydrants. And you're thinking, well, what does that really matter? But it matters a lot to the fire department when they're fighting a fire, that they know what side of what pressure zone they're hooking onto. And when we go out and flush, we know we want to systematically flush the low side first and then the high side. So there's a little bit of method to our madness of why those are painted a certain way. And we don't want customers going out and painting them their own design. We want to keep them
now, wait a second. Hold on, though. You don't want them painted design. Erica Cox herself had some fire hydrants painted.
Right.
I know, because Chris Anderson did it.
Yes.
So.
Those are non-working hydrants.
Oh, see, distinctions.
At the public safety building?
Yes, yeah, and that's, if you guys haven't seen those Muscatines, stop by. They're, Chris, did they get mounted in front of the public safety building? Isn't that where they went? In honor of the public service that's done there, MPW had the other Chris Anderson, the talented one, paint a fire hydrant for the fire department and one for the police department.
Right.
And they're on display right in front of the public safety building.
That was the exception to the rule.
Okay.
We actually had conversations internally about, we don't want to set a trend, but we do think it was a very important dedication that we contributed to.
And they're also definitely, well, first of all, they're in front of the public safety building, so I would hope all the firefighters know those aren't active ones. I mean, they walk by it every day. I feel pretty confident they can handle that.
I mean, they have one behind the fire station that is active.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway.
Yeah. But and I can say that because I've got family that's on the fire department, and I'm sure I will hear about it the next time I see them. It's gonna be fun.
Sure.
So the low side, high side. So when you're talking like bluff, you like up on 2nd Street, bluff, or like
so downtown is kind of a mix where we transition from low side to high side, but mainly anything Hershey Avenue and south is all low side.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And then once you get all the way up
and it really has nothing to do with the pressure, because we have a very good pressure down on the island. The well pumps all produce enough pressure to service that side of town. And then the water that's used for the high side actually gets pumped up to Kindler, our West Hill Reservoir, the big tanks up there, and also the water towers on the high side.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm imagining all of this as like a little game on a phone that's like, oh, the water tower's over here and the water's going, and then sorry, I'm easily sidetracked by bright, shiny things. So, and I think Chris has been kind of showing some, what hydrant flushing looks like. So real quick, I think people conceptually know what hydrant flushing's for, but like, what does it actually do? Like, what's the benefit of making the big mess?
Well, the benefit is to help keep the water utility bill lower because we don't have full treatment. So we do have some sediment in our pipes that build up. And so in order to flush those out, we need to be able to flow enough water to push all that sediment out and not have to treat our water.
So it's basically like pushing a super soaker through it so that it blows everything out and then you're clean and good to go? Is that a really 5-year-old way of looking at it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry about the details, just...
And this is
I can see the details right here. No, that's not at all what it's like.
What are you talking about?
But I mean, that's the concept. You're putting some extra pressure in, I would assume, right? And then that helps just kind of take everything and flow it out?
Yeah, it'll pick up that sediment and push it out.
Gotcha. And
It's like scouring the water main by opening up a fire hydrant and really pushing it hard. It's like scouring the water main. You're moving water so fast that it's pulling sediment that's settled out on the bottom out the fire hydrant. And so that's why we work at the source and then we work our way out so we can pull it throughout town and get it out of the system so it doesn't affect our customers.
Gotcha.
But another aspect of flushing that we're not talking about here is the crew goes out and they put their hands on every single hydrant in town twice a year. So we make sure, I see there was a picture of the firefighting operation.
Yep.
So when they need water, they get water.
Yep.
And hydrants work. And if they don't work, we bag them out, which means we have if you drive around town, you see an orange bag on top of a hydrant that says out of service. We call the fire department and say, hey, this hydrant's out of service. We put it on our list and we either repair it or replace it right away.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the notes that Holly sent over is like, you guys spend $80,000 a year on hydrants, which is kind of like a no-brainer. I mean, obviously we need hydrants that work, but that's obviously a significant project every year, right?
Ricky and I were talking about that before the show, that we actually spend more than that. If you consider when we have a capital project where we replace a water main in the neighborhood, like we're going to replace on Grand Avenue this year, we'll add new hydrants on that street, and those won't go against the $80,000 that we budget.
Right, because it's
so
like project specific.
More, right, but yeah, that's a good number to go by. We definitely commit a lot of funds towards making sure that our fire hydrants work properly.
So when you guys are back flushing, that's when like you can see like a little bit of discoloration in the water, right?
Right.
And what is that discoloration? Like it's really nothing to worry about, right?
Sediment. It's iron and manganese that's settled out in the water mains over a period of time. We feed phosphate to help sequester that and take care of it, but you'll get some that settles out. So when we're flushing, especially, you can see the bathtub, you'll get some discolored water. And, it's just a temporary thing. It's an inconvenience. It's aesthetics mainly. So we just ask that the customers let their water run for a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And if it's not clearing up after 30, call 263-2631 and we'll get somebody out there to spot flush.
Yep. And that's, I think most people know that conceptually, like, oh, it's a thing, you just do it.
Right.
But, sometimes it's nice to have that little bit of like understanding of what it is, right? So, because I know like sometimes there was one time when I was younger, I turned it on and it was worse than usual and I didn't know what was going on. So all of a sudden there's like brown coming out of the water and I'm like, oh crap. And then my mom's like, relax, it's just you know what I mean? Like, so even if you know what's going on, it doesn't always like first in that moment when, you're so used to water, you turn it on, it's clear, it's this. It can take a second to like go, what's going on? Like your whole world gets shook almost because you guys are that reliable and that like maintained. So 30 minutes is kind of the thing. Obviously, probably shouldn't like wash clothes that like, or doesn't matter. Yeah, just
cold water.
Yeah.
Yeah, just run.
Ricky's like, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Don't run the hot water because then that will pull the sediment into your hot water heater and then you'll have to flush that out. So just run the cold water. That's the best way to get it out of your service line and get the water turned over.
And one thing that's cool that is something that kind of, again, goes across all the utilities because of the way Power and Water as an organization has been able to integrate with the entire community through like magic. And every utility, I've seen it on the communication side and everything else, and this is really cool. Chris, if you can bring up that map, you guys can use, like, you keep like, is it real time almost?
Well,
or
so
like
this year we're going to expand it rather than real time where you'll see a hydrant turn from green to red, meaning we just flush that.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get more information out to our customers and say, here's where we project that we're going to be in the next couple weeks. You know, it's a tentative schedule. It may change. If we have a water main break or some other high priority item that hits us, we're going to have to pull off the flushing, take care of that, and then go back to flushing. But we're trying to get as much info as we can out to our customers so they can prepare. Because you don't want to do laundry on the day that we're flushing in your neighborhood.
Well, and you know, again, I think that's one of those things that it may seem like a big deal at the time. It's really not. It's just a thing that we all do. You know what I mean? Like, plan for it. If it happens on Monday, it happens on Monday. If it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday. Like, it's really not, you know, it's not NASA level critical for us as people in the house to know exactly which split second you're going to be turning on a hydrant.
And we try to update that map, especially like the projected days a couple times a week, but we will update daily where we're going to be that day. So if you get up in the morning and you pull up our GIS map, and it should show you where we're going to be that day.
So one of the other things that kind of goes into this whole like keeping customers involved and educated and information at their fingertips is the new SmartHub.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay,
I love SmartHub.
So how does
in town and I use it, and when we switched over, it's like all of those features that you can look at your history, you can look at how what your bill has been over the last year. One thing is really important too is if you have a problem, there's a button in the right-hand corner that report an outage or an emergency, and it will walk you through what type of outage that you have, whether it's electric, communications, or water, and it really gets great information to the people that can use it and help you immediately.
And I think that's the one thing that's always impressed me, because we have the channel and because of the things that we do with you guys, I get to go back behind the scenes a little more than the average person, right? And I got to see the electric grid thing on the wall. And I know you guys have this for like every utility, but when you look and see how fast the data moves for you guys now, it's like Command 7. I mean, it's real time. Everybody can see it. Like, I would be willing to bet there's probably a decent chunk of the time you guys know that there's a problem before somebody calls you and tells you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm out of my wheelhouse here because I'm in the water department. But,
right.
The ability to use our ONTs on the communication side to determine if we're having a power outage in a certain part of town, and that gets all that information back to our system control operators who can dispatch crews, our line crew to, like you said, they'll take care of a problem if it's in the middle of the night, probably before most people know it.
Yeah. And that's, obviously you don't have that with water, but yet that's still that concept of how you guys approach it goes across all the departments,
for sure.
And that's the other thing that always, it doesn't matter what's going on outside. Like, if there's a water main break or if there's whatever, you guys are there. Like, it's just what it is.
20 below, we're fixing the water main. If it's Christmas Day or New Year's Eve, it doesn't really matter. The crew is so dedicated to serving our customers and the utility. It's really admirable that, we don't struggle getting people to come in on holidays. And we had one of our operators, he actually postponed his son's birthday because he knew he had a water main. We had a water main break. He knew he was going to be in for probably about 4 hours. He kind of put all that on hold, came in, did his job, and then went home and had the birthday. And that just shows a level of commitment that, because we pretty much all live in the same. We all live in Muscatine, and we all want to serve our neighbors.
Well, and it's also the family supporting the community, because, like, I'm guessing not everybody loved the fact that it got postponed. But you know what? A whole bunch of people benefited from that change, right? And the other thing that I love that you guys do, we were out at Customer Appreciation Day, was it last summer? Summer before? I don't remember when it was. But my son was probably 10 at the time. got to run around. He had to fix a water main out there. Like you guys, like
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Customer Appreciation Day is awesome. Like they had, like Mitch had like Godzilla breaking in during newscasts. They had all the trucks there, like tons and tons of stuff. But what Wyatt actually thought was the coolest was you guys had set up, and I'm probably going to slaughter this, but it was a big pipe. We're going to call it a water main. I don't know if it really was or not. Was it?
6-inch water main.
Was it? Okay. And I don't know exactly how you did it, but like there was like a crack in it, and it would like spew water out, and they'd like throw the gloves on, and they had to like slide a sleeve over and like impact it down. And okay, so tell me, because I'm slaughtering it, how did it actually work?
I didn't.
Oh,
I was working at the bounce house the whole time, so I actually didn't see that display.
that's exactly what you described. I mean, we took a section of water main that we had left over from a project. We put a cap on the end, and we connected, obviously, water to the pipe.
Right.
And we charged it, and then we cut a little slit in the pipe, so we didn't want it just to kind of like drizzle out. We wanted it to spray out.
It was like spraying out. Like,
So,
I mean, it was
yeah.
probably spraying 3 feet out, I
And
guess.
then we had a repair sleeve on it with actually the repair sleeve that we use and the impact wrench that the guys use, and gave the kids the opportunity to slide it over and then tighten up the sleeve.
And they're like getting wet, you know, because like obviously if there's a pressurized tube and it's got a hole, it's shooting out, and you slide that thing over, there's water spraying everywhere. They were loving it. Like,
so our distribution foreman, John Bermel, he's the one that came up with that idea.
Oh, it was,
create that
and
display.
again, you guys do that across the board. It's like, how do you help people understand what it is you do? And you guys always do a great job of that. It's fun. I mean, because like we said before the show, like I hate to say this, and you know, water on spec isn't like this exciting, exhilarating conversation, but when you actually get down into it, it kind of is, you know?
We think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's routine, but it's not. Like, it's routine until it's not. And then it's,
Right, I mean, like routine until it's not. We had a break up near Kent headquarters just a couple months ago that was on a very large 24-inch diameter pipe. And so that was a whole different endeavor, a whole different animal. And, you know, we had to put a repair sleeve on that weighed 300 pounds instead of the one that was, you know, the 6 inches the kids slid across. So, I mean, it's routine until it's not. But, you know, what's nice is that MPW makes an investment in our department where we have the equipment, we have the trained people, we have everything we need to do our job, and it's just a matter of doing it.
Well, and that's something that I've talked about with some of the leadership before, and obviously you see this when it happens. You guys do a great job of longevity in your departments, and like chances are if something happens, somebody's seen it before, you know, like because you guys have all like been there so long, or the experience is there. You know, it's not like you're just taking me and sticking me in a thing and being like, hey, if it breaks, go, you know, like.
Yeah, an interesting side of that is, if you, I don't know, the picture showed the map of it.
Yeah.
So we have this really extensive GIS mapping system that's public facing, but we also have our own layers for our own internal use. And what's really cool about it is we'll fix a main break, and the guys will use the GPS coordinator and take a shot of it, so it goes onto the map exactly where that break is. And they'll take pictures and attach it to that. So crews 20, 30, 50 years from now will be able to pull up those maps and see exactly what was repaired underground. And that wasn't available to us years ago. And it's just a matter of keeping up with technology and using that for our applications. And it's just, it's incredible, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. And I love seeing that. You know, like it would be really easy for utilities to kind of like lay back on it a little bit, because they're like, oh, hey, yeah, you got to turn it on, you got to pay us, whatever. And you guys never sit on your laurels, like ever.
No, I mean, you know, our senior leadership really challenges everybody to incorporate technology into your day-to-day job, and it shows with everything that we're doing. Even something as simple as hydrant flushing, you know, it's a routine task that we do, but we try to do it the best we can and collect data and make sure that we're doing it in a systematic approach that is best serving our customers.
Well, I think we'll check with Holly afterwards, but I think we covered everything that you guys wanted to cover. Is there anything else cool or fun that you want to throw out there is there anything you wish people knew about the water department that they may not know? Oh, I stumped them.
You did. I mean, Muscatine has a pretty unusual water system. Like I said, we have 26 wells that require a whole separate group of people to maintain those. And we're always trying to best use our budgeted dollars to keep everything going. And I don't know. It's like I said, I'm getting kind of dry here, but
that's good. That means we covered everything. And Rick, you said
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, you were talking a lot about that water main break and making it spray up in the air. So that does happen in the field. Like if a contractor snags a service line and rips it out of the water main, I've seen those water streams shoot up 15 feet, 20 feet in the air. And the water crew will get down there and they'll drive a stake into it and get that stopped. And everybody else is watching them, but it's actually quite a show to see them get those water breaks fixed. And they get wet, and it's always a story afterwards because they have a fun time doing it. It's like,
well, that's awesome. Guys, thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate it. Muscatine, depending on when you're watching this, either stay safe or I hope you were safe, and enjoy what might be left of a